Hey Piscatorians, welcome back to the channel. Today we're doing something a little different. We're on the Big Island of Hawaii. I'm on vacation with my family and we stumbled across Big Island Abalone Farm. So today I thought I'd take you along for a tour of an abalone mariculture facility, and if we're lucky we might get to sample some abalone today as well. So let's go check it out.
Talk a bit about their life cycle, all that good stuff. Later on you'll get a chance to hold some in the touch tanks and get a chance to eat some as well. So let's get started, eh? Right this way.
We're going to disinfect our shoes.
Are we allowed to take pictures?
Very cool.
So these are what we raise here. These are Japanese Ezo abalone. They're a bit smaller than the California Reds, you probably know, but on the other hand, they're a lot more tender, so you don't have to beat them with a stick for an hour before you can eat them. Stick beating is completely optional. They're naturally quite tender, so it makes them nice and easy to use in cooking. It's given them the name of Emperor of Shellfish in some parts of Japan. It's a bit of a fancy name, but I go with it. These ones are probably on the low end of around 2 years old. Usually we harvest between 1.5 and 3. Now these aren't native to Hawaii. You're not going to find any of them when you go snorkeling out there. But what we do, like a lot of the farms down here, is we rent land and water use from NELHA, the National Energy Lab. Back in the 70s and 80s, they were doing a bunch of experiments on different alternate energy sources. Some more strange than others. They didn't quite work out. But one thing they had left over when they were done is they had a big pipeline going out there. Now I haven't measured it personally, but I hear it's around 2,000 or so feet down. That brings in deep sea water. It's really cold, has a lot of nutrients, is really good for aquaculture. So there's a lot of farms down here as a result of that. And it pulls from a current that travels around the world. Apparently it takes almost 1,000 years for water to get from one end of the current to the other, but like I said, I haven't measured that myself. It's a little, it's a bit much for me. So that water, when it comes up, is almost freezing. It's around 35 degrees, which is a bit too cold for the abalone. So we gotta mix it with surface water in the tall tanks over there. We want to get it to around 60-ish degrees. As you may have guessed from our setup we got here, we do use a lot of water, more than any of the other farms in the area, for sure. Any guesses how much we can use every minute?
1,000 gallons.
Well, let's multiply that by 15. So up to 15,000 gallons a minute. So if you want to know why abalone can be pretty expensive in restaurants, you just got to look at our water and power bills every month. And that'll tell you part of the story.
Is it a flow-through system or?
Basically, when we're done with it, we can't really just clean it and reuse it. Abalone are pretty sensitive to the water quality, so we have to clean it and send it back out through the outflow pipe to the ocean. But we got to be thorough because the EPA does come by a few times a year, and if they find the wrong stuff out there, they know exactly where to go and who to beat up. So we have basically a sump pond down there with a bunch of volcanic rock to use as filters. They're pretty good at that, and we got a lot of them around, so we figured we'd make good use of them. We send a lot to restaurants, mostly individual restaurants around the continental US and the islands as well. I think our biggest customer, or market at least, is Honolulu. We send 3 shipments a week there. Other big ones are going to be California, Nevada, and New York.
Are there more abalone farms in Hawaii?
I think we're the only one in the islands, unless one opened in the past few years, but I don't think so. There's not really good spots for it since they're not native to the area, and most other places don't have this kind of setup like NELHA does. So There's other farms down here, like the Seahorse Farm, Octopus Farm, Kampachi Farm, Salt Farm, but I believe we're the only abalone farm.
And you said the biggest in the United States?
I'm pretty sure we are, yeah. There's smaller ones up and down the West Coast, I think mostly in California, but they mostly focus on the red California abalone, which is pretty good, important, as we'll see in just a bit. They eat a lot, and they're not too picky about what they eat, so in theory we could just toss any old plants in there and they'd eat them, but since what they eat changes how they taste, we got to be picky for them. If we let them, they just lick the algae off the walls and get a nastier, fishier taste, so to avoid that we got to regularly empty the tanks, move them around, clean them, and we try and feed them only the good stuff. We did a lot of testing on different foods and found one that had good nutritional value and gave them a better taste than other options, so that's the vast majority of what we feed them. We'll be looking at the tanks where we grow that later on. Fortunately, it needs a lot of sunlight, and usually we have a lot of that here, so...
You're in the right spot.
Yeah. So worldwide, abalone is pretty big business. Last I checked, I think pre-COVID numbers, there was about 150,000 tons a year harvested worldwide. And that's between all the different countries. There's about 80 different kinds. Not all of them are good for food, but there's a lot that are. There's the California Reds, green-lipped Australian, Ezo abalone. Biggest producer right now is definitely China. Last I checked, they produced around 127,000 tons a year. Korea's about 10,000 tons a year. Australia's about 4,500 tons. So it's a lot of abalone, a lot of money. So
how are they mostly eaten?
it kind of varies. I mean, in places like Japan, sashimi is the most popular way. Yeah, they have it raw. It's very firm compared to most sushi, so what they got to do is usually slice it pretty thin, serve it with some soy sauce or wasabi. Sometimes they mix the guts up with wasabi. Pretty popular there. I'd say most of our restaurants that order from us, at least in Honolulu, is going to be higher end sushi places.
Yeah.
So of that 150,000 tons, about 95% of it is going to be farmed now. Only about 5% is wild caught last I checked. A lot of reasons for that: overfishing and poaching, diseases and pollution, changing temperatures, competition. And California has been hit pretty hard, and by all those, you used to be able to find all sorts of abalone off the coast there, big numbers. But over the years, since around the 60s or 70s, you can kind of see how the harvest numbers just dropped and dropped and dropped. One of the big reasons is the sea urchins. There's a kind of urchin out there, eats the same stuff the abalone do. There's just maybe a few more of them, since the sea stars that used to keep them in check and eat them, when the temperatures went up, most of them died off. So the sea urchin population exploded. So you go out there, you see just armies and armies of sea urchins eating all the kelp beds, starving out the other animals. People try to deal with them, harvest like crate after crate and get rid of them, but it's not making much of a dent. I've heard it said it's like spitting in the ocean, so not doing much. And some have been even saying within the next 5 years we might not have wild California abalone anymore. So only the ones you'll be able to get are ones from the farms I mentioned. So preserving the species and sustainability is a pretty important job we have. Let's head down this way a bit now. They lay eggs about once a year in the fall after the typhoon season's up. The males fertilize them, no contact needed, called broadcast breeding. And they lay a lot of eggs at once, which they need because once they hatch, they're really tiny and vulnerable. They look kind of like that once they've hatched. No shell, very small, microscopic even. We might have some we can show you at that age. We'll see. Otherwise, I'll just say they look kind of like grains of sand if you're just looking at them. So any fish swims by, easy meal. But here we are a business. We got to cheat a little bit. So what we can do is we have all our males and females in our our hatchery, basically, just separated from each other. And what we do is we can change the water temperature, use ultraviolet light and other tricks, make them think it's the rainy season, so they can lay eggs and fertilize them more often. And we have several shifts worth so they don't get tired, so instead of 1 generation a year, it's more like 10 or 12 a year. So it's a lot of them.
Yeah.
And once they grow their shells, that takes a couple months. But they're still tiny and vulnerable, like the size of my pinky nail usually. So they can't really be out here because, you know, they're more vulnerable to infection. Birds might come by for a free meal. So from 2 to 6 months, they're kept down in that more covered up area. It's a bit more protected from the elements. We've even got one of those little owl statues that allegedly scares birds away. No idea how well those work, but you know, owls are cool, so I'm fine with that. And it's also more restricted in that even I'm not allowed in there unless I'm a lot more decontaminated. But we can at least look in from the outside, so let's head that way now. So they kindly left me a nice cool glass of abalone. So if you look down at the bottom layer, you can kind of see them there, those little green dots.
Oh wow. So small.
I think these ones hatched within the last couple of days. And it's very hard to, just those little tiny dots is at the bottom. Kind of greenish looking, greenish green.
So tiny.
Are those ever eaten like carrier?
Not that I'm aware of. I mean, I'm sure you probably could, but I don't know if it'd be tasty or not. On the other hand, here we have a couple young ones. I think these ones are about 2 months-ish and about 5 or 6 months. Oh, and then there's this guy hanging off the edge, probably closer to 3 or 4. So yeah, they've got their shells at this point.
Oh yeah.
You can even feel how
Little
hard they
guys.
are. They're fully developed shells.
Are the shells reused after harvesting?
Yeah,
Yep.
they've got that mother of pearl to them, so they can be very popular for jewelry. We do sometimes sell them to local artisans to make guitar inlays, or I guess here it's mostly ukulele inlays, or pendants, earrings, that sort of thing.
Money clips.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
They're a little more fragile than the California abalone shells would be, but that's just because of the size thing. But yeah, these guys, pretty active sometimes. They can actually flip themselves over if they have the chance. There's their little snails, basically. There's their body. So yeah, he's moving around.
Oh,
It's trying to give a little grab onto my hand, but it's kind of hard for him to grab onto fingers, apparently.
I think they took
Hopefully you'll be able to see him properly flip themselves over later. It's pretty much the one trick they can do.
Backflips.
I warned you. All right, let's
Got a little
head down.
feedback.
So down here is the nursery, basically, for about 2 to 6 months. They're in here. They're kept on smaller plastic racks. We use the baskets to make it easy to transfer them from tank to tank. And once they graduate, at about 6 months, they get moved to different parts of the farm. That area is usually for about 6 to 12 months. The far side back there is closer to 1 to 2 years. And then where we've been is about 2 to 3 years usually. Sometimes we let them go a bit longer, up to 5 years, but that's only if we really want the big premium sizes, hand-sized ones. Biggest one I've seen was probably about 5.5 inches, 200 grams, but the price goes quite fast. When
And
you
what
go
does
to the
a
big
typical
sizes.
abalone that size sell for?
I think if we were selling that now, it'd probably be close to 50 a piece.
Okay. Wow.
So yeah, it definitely jumps up, but some places want that size.
Yeah, absolutely.
How do you transfer the little guys onto the large?
5 years is a long time. With all that water and expense, you can see why it's $50.
There are ways to make them let go and just kind of scrape them off. And once they're in the new baskets, they don't like the feel of the basket, which also helps them prevent them from climbing out. So they go over and find the racks and just cling on there.
All by themselves.
Yeah, they have instincts, not exactly blessed with brain power, but they know what's comfortable and what's not. They prefer rocks, but it's a lot easier for us to lift plastic things, so you know, no rocks for them. All right, you can see all the abalone here. They are covered. They are nocturnal. They like the dark, so we keep them as comfortable as we can like that. They're a lot more active at night. Out here, though, is their food, which needs a lot of sunlight. And most days, not today, I guess, they get a lot of that. Let's head over there now and get a bit of a look.
So it's like a 2-in-1, abalone farm and kelp farm, which we're going to learn about the kelp here right now.
So yeah, this is that main food, dulse. High nutrients, gives the abalone a nice taste. Needs a lot of sun to grow. It grows back pretty fast as long as we don't harvest all of it. It's also a bit of a superfood for humans as well. Apparently my cousin eats this stuff on salads all the time. We've even had a few offers to sell it commercially to health food stores. Pretty much just tastes a bit like lettuce, really. But we can't really afford to sell it to people just because the abalone eats so much of it. They tell me it's around 1/10 of their body weight a day they'll eat.
Oh, wow.
So when we harvest a lot. There's that crane over there with that big net, hold around 800 kilograms all told. Then they take that over there, get cleaned and sorted, and each tank has its own feeding schedule, so they just put it in bins and dump it in. It gets waterlogged, sinks to the bottom, and abalone go nuts. Or as nuts as they can go, really. Sometimes we have to deal with not having enough sunlight, usually when the volcano's more active and there's a bog around. Sometimes we'll need to supplement the diet of the abalone then with little algae flakes that we bring in from South Africa. It gets the job done nutritionally, it's just a bit more expensive to keep importing the stuff over and over than growing it ourselves. The water we use, it is a bit colder than the abalone water. That's about 60 degrees. This is closer to 50. Since it's coming from, I believe we got ours originally from the California coast, so that water's pretty cold too, as I recall. Let's move on this way a bit. We're going to head towards the shipping area now. Nice photogenic piece. Here we go.
All right, here I go. Vegetarian superfood. Yep, crunchy. A little bit of salt.
I can see myself eating that
like
with a little bit of tomato
Ocean's
and
lettuce.
vinaigrette,
Yeah.
maybe. All right.
Or a little balsamic vinaigrette or something with that. Perfect. Seaweed salad.
I'm an arugula man myself, but yeah, I can see it. So I haven't quite measured it, but some days it definitely feels like we use more space for the algae than the abalone. So, especially given the size of these big tanks.
Yeah, that's pretty impressive.
Yeah, these are the production tanks, I believe they call them. So when they harvest, they just bring that over, dunk it in. We keep it flowing so it doesn't cling to the sides and become hard to harvest. And we're also oxygenating it as well. Since this is deep sea water, we gotta add a little oxygen to it. So yeah, gotta kill a couple birds with just one stone, I guess.
So do you ever have like I see like this one's empty. Do you do like a scheduled maintenance periodically?
Oh yeah, just like with the abalone tanks, we gotta regularly clean them out from other algae that might be growing in them. For these ones, they're big enough that we usually pull out the power washers for that. Because this stuff, the algae can smell pretty nasty if it goes bad. Part of the reason we keep it flowing also is so it doesn't get all stagnant and nasty. Because then it turns basically into that stuff. that wouldn't be as tasty.
No.
Head down there to shipping now. And like you saw, they like to stick to things. They also like to stick to each other, which isn't a problem until we have to, you know, weigh them. So we got to get them to let go somehow. So back there, that big basin behind the table, it's kind of a little bath for the abalone. It's got some water and carbon dioxide. Dip them in there, they get nice and sleepy and sluggish. They just come right off when you use your spatula. Then they check them, make sure they're all nice and healthy, weigh them, and then they send them down this conveyor belt. And you can see we got a little computer attached to the scale, so it tells the conveyor belt and the little flippers on the side the weight of the abalone. So they automatically get sorted. They just come out like little pinball flippers. You just slap them into those baskets.
Is that what this PVC is? Is that for sizing?
I'm not sure what that one's for.
Okay.
I think that might be for just cleaning empty baskets.
Gotcha.
That's my guess. And then back there is the sort of the holding tanks until it's ready to ship them out. And like I mentioned, we do ship them live for the most part. It takes they can live around 48 hours or more out of the water, so we give them a bit of oxygen, maybe a little water to keep damp, some ice to keep cool. As long as our delivery companies get them there on time, they're usually alive and ready to go, even as far as New York.
So you guys do like same day delivery?
Not usually. Usually it's one or 2
overnight.
days, depending on the location. We go priority overnight. For pretty much anywhere west of Utah, it's 1 day, and
Okay.
then it can be about 2 days pretty much for anywhere else.
So we could have it flown right into Washington if we wanted.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, we got some going out frozen to Vegas today, I think. That's
Ooh.
pretty much, that's one of our bigger markets, I'd say.
Let's go follow that box.
A lot of casinos.
Yeah.
Mhm.
What is the Japanese name for abalone?
Awabi. And these ones are called Ezo Awabi. Apparently that's the location they're in. It's up near Hokkaido. I visited Hawaii once, Japan once, but I never went up that far north, so I haven't seen these in the wild. Mostly stuck near Tokyo. We got a couple of last minute orders, so we have to rush a little bit, make sure everything gets out on time. Since it is Thursday, you know, gotta make sure they get there tomorrow.
Yeah, you gotta be there for the weekend party.
Yeah, since the delivery doesn't go on the weekends, we don't want them to get stuck in in limbo over the weekend. That can be a bad time.
Packing?
Filler, plenty of ice, plenty of oxygen for the live ones. I should still be. Over here we got a few more local critters. Now we do bring in surface water, so we got to filter that a bit. And our sand filters, sometimes critters get stuck in them, and instead of just getting rid of them, we decide to show them off a bit until we send them back. So we got your hermit crabs, your starfish. I think the crabs are my favorite. It's pretty cool.
Pops out.
A little skittish though when they see movement. And they get to eat pretty well. Since a lot of these are scavengers, we feed them abalone. And then they just get to crawl all over those. It's a good time, I guess. Oh, here he goes. Oh yeah, big guy.
That's a big guy.
Are wear for camouflage. At least I assume it's for camouflage. I've never asked one. Might just like hats. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh yeah, look at that.
Oh yeah, they got all that. See the spines waving around. Pretty
And
cool.
he's eating that kelp.
Yeah, their mouths.
The
down
ocean's
there.
porcupine.
They like tight spaces. They can grip pretty tightly. Between that and their shell, not a lot likes to prey on them much in the wild. I mean, you've seen the big ones go get sea otters after them, beating them with rocks. Octopi got their beaks, chomp right through. Then there's us with our sophisticated weapons. Thumbs.
Spatulas and thumbs.
Okay, so eeny, meeny, miny, you.
Whoa.
So yeah, that's the foot, real tight grip. And since they're attached to their shell by basically a kind of a pillar of meat, they can rotate quite a lot. That's what helps them flip over. They just reach out with their foot and just kind of get a little grip and then use that to just... So here you see the spiral shell design there. They are mollusks, just like little sea snails. They just spiral out from there as they grow. The holes in the shells, they use those for breathing, laying eggs, and expelling waste. And as they grow, new holes will open up, and old ones close. So there's only 3 or 4 open ones at any one time, usually. Oh, yeah, and this one's poking his head out. You can see the eye stalks. Can't see very well, mostly shapes in the light. So they use those tentacle feelers hanging down in between to navigate, feel their way around.
Good one.
And then the mouth is in the middle of all that. No teeth, no biting, just a scraping tongue called a radula. They basically just lick their food and scrape bits of it off. I guess in practice it's kind of like a cat, except a bit less cute.
Now, one that size, what would that cost? Shell.
Yeah, they got the whole mother of pearl in there, so they just got some...
I don't know why it's counting down, but
It's poking its way out because the way I'm holding it kind of encourages it to poke its head out. Oh yeah, there we go. They can't hold on to hands very easily, but they can try. So down here we got the guts. Those are edible. Not everyone's a fan. Some love them, some do not love them. Their taste, I'd describe it kind of as like crab butter mixed with a bit of seaweed. Pretty strong, soft texture. If you have a chance, I recommend trying them. Not sure if the samples today include them, but you can also tell if you got a boy or a girl by looking at the guts. So you can see here, it's all bluish green. That means we got a girl. If this were a male, it would be a bit different. We'll see if I can find one to show you. In the meantime, I'm going to pass some of these around. Alright, inspection.
whoa.
That one's not coming loose.
Feels so cool.
Alright, another female here.
Feel them, Pops?
No more girls
Dad.
in today's tank.
You feel them?
Another one.
Lots of girls.
Yeah, sometimes
It's ladies' night out.
they get rotated basically. It's a pretty high stress job doing tricks for all the tourists. So we've got to rotate them out, and this time looks like we got a bunch of ladies. Let's see. I don't know, maybe. Okay, come on. It's gotta be. Yeah. Okay, let's see if your powers of. Oh, no. Nope. Better luck next time.
Hunt for a boy.
Oh, there we go. Okay. See how it's kind of split into 2 colors?
Oh yeah.
Sort of a blue and then a beige-ish color.
Beige, yep, that's the boy. One guy to 5 girls or 6 girls. Not a bad ratio.
Sometimes there's a lot more boys. It varies. So when you're done, just set them down here
Yeah, that's
on
the
their backs.
space.
Oh, they're already starting to flail around a bit for flipping. That one's already reaching, looks like. Oh, here we go. Here we go.
There we go. We got him. He's gonna do tricks on camera. There it goes. Oh, look at that.
Yep. They can be, yeah, they can move pretty quick when they have to, or when they're motivated. They're just not usually motivated.
Yeah, he's got some.
Oh yeah, you can see the
Antennas out.
eyes, the antenna, the little cilia around the edge. They can motor pretty quick when motivated. I think the fastest I've heard of was at night going about 15 feet a minute.
Ooh.
So for a snail, that's pretty impressive.
And what's the age on these ones?
I'd say these ones are mostly around 3, maybe 3.5.
Oh, there you go.
So these are all
Flip.
around harvesting age.
Boom.
Wow, that was just motor. Yeah.
Yep, there you go. This guy's saying, let me back. My secure place.
Sometimes they're a bit lazy, that's why I like to flip a whole bunch of them at once. And sometimes they piggyback on each other because they're pretty lazy.
Like that one's trying to do.
And these ones are here.
There you go.
There
Yeah,
we
it
go.
didn't take them long.
I guess everyone's going for it
There
today.
it goes.
Good.
Boom.
Well, I think it's about time to get the grill set up. Don't worry, we're not eating any of these. They probably wouldn't taste as good, since in addition to what we feed them, they can also just eat whatever they find growing in here, so they don't have quite a set of diet.
Turn this into a visit and eat.
Good.
Propane hibachi. So typically how long do you put them on the grill for?
These ones are already cooked, so
Okay.
they're just going to be on for about 3 minutes.
So we're preheating, ready to go. So if they were raw, how long would you say?
Varies, but usually probably around 6-ish minutes, I want to say. We got a brochure in there that says has some options for you, but it's a bit more of a struggle if you're trying to take them out of the shells while they're still fresh, because it's...
And then you guys sell them in like 3 or 4 different sizes?
Yeah, we got a few sizes, smaller ones by the pound, larger ones by the piece.
Okay.
And you're getting 10% off for taking the tour today, so...
Oh, nice.
If you're buying any live, canned, or frozen after this, we also can set up shipments to wherever you're at. If you're not going to be back right away, we can delay it a bit until you're there. And if you're still hungry, there's always the food truck out front. They got a few fancy options. These ones are just going to be the natural flavor, nothing added. They got a natural kind of saltiness and oiliness to them, so...
Okay.
Some say you don't really need to add anything, but you certainly can.
We get to try it El Natural today. And we'll go into their office later and I'll show you the different shell sizes, because they have a display of those with the different pricing. Oh, abalone right out of the shell. Look at that. El Naturale.
All right, should be enough for everyone to have one full abalone's worth. Go right ahead.
Thank
you.
Dad's having the second one.
No, it broke in half.
Oh yeah, that's one. Perfect. How was it?
Good.
Yeah, good.
Yeah.
We're not going to be shy. We're getting right in here.
Taste real raw. Good.
Very tender.
Oh yeah. Heard a lot of people have different descriptions of how they think it tastes. Some say it tastes like one thing, some say it tastes like another.
Should you try mine?
That would be good with garlic butter too.
Oh yeah, that's always a good option.
My wife's like, I don't know. I like it. All right, need one more. Mom, you gotta try.
Yeah, really chewy.
Yep, that's good.
We can't get them at home anymore. No, they're very...
I think we're gonna have to hit up the gourmet truck.
If you want, but you
Try
don't
those.
need to wash them very well.
All right, guys, so we're gonna go up in the office. I'm gonna show you the different shell sizes they have and the prices. But these are the different sizes they do. Extra small, all the way up to 7/8 inch.
It's actually a weird naming thing. They just call them 7/8.
Okay.
It's a bit more related to the weight. Like these ones are usually 70 to 80 grams on average.
Gotcha. All right. And so they look like they go from $26 a pound up to $40 a pound for this size, and then these ones are kind of by the piece, $11 each, $7 each. They also do value-added products. Looks like is that a smoked?
Yeah, there's regular flavor,
Abalone?
lightly smoked, and regular smoked. I think they use maple wood and do it for either half an hour or an hour. Unfortunately, it was a Sunday, so I wasn't there.
So hey guys, I'm gonna drop a link in the description below if you guys want to check this out. Put in an order from the Big Island Abalone. You can do it. Just check that description below and click the link. Also, here's the kind of life cycle from 2 months all the way around to 33 months. And if you watch Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives, here's Guy Fieri and his autograph. He was here. So you know it was good, despite what my wife thinks. But it's a textural thing for her. All right, guys, we have the Big Abalone food truck. And I think we're gonna do the garlic butter and panko. It's a must try. So that's what we're gonna do. And we're gonna order a drink to go with it. All right, moment of truth, guys. We got the garlic abalone panko. Oh yeah. Yeah, it's good. Yeah, you gotta try one.
I'll take one.
See what you think. That was the way to do it.
Pretty good. A lot of that seasoning.
Mm-hmm.
It did taste good.
Got that. It does almost taste like a mushroom. Has a texture of a mushroom.
Fluid.
Very mild flavor. Definitely tastes the garlic butter. It's got the panko for texture. Yeah, Big Island, Hawaii. I want to tell you guys, thanks for watching. If you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button for me. Next week we'll get back to some normal fish catching action. But as always, tie lines,